and discovered the San Francisco Historical Society, giving our history a great future. Become a member today.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
Good morning, Area.
It's time to wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
Oh, yes. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Hope you all had a lovely Memorial Day weekend. Long. Man, we got a lot to talk about today. Not a lot of time to do it. 888-957-9570, as you all know. And if you don't, now you do. That's the number to get involved. It's the number to text in, the Comcast Business text line, or call 888-957-9570. The comeback was not completed. And we thought that up in Boston, a team that was down 0-3, and a team that had never completed an 0-3 comeback in the history of the NBA. We thought it was in the bag, right? I did. I thought there was no chance after what happened to the Miami Heat back on Saturday night. When Jimmy Butler hit all those three throws that go up, and then Derek White out of nowhere gets the Marcus Smart miss, banks it in, 0.1 still on the clock, it's out of his hand, and they were shipping back up to Boston. And he thought it was a formality. At least I did. That the Celtics were going to do this thing, complete the comeback, and hell, have a great chance to take on the Denver Nuggets and maybe win another title. But it wasn't meant to be. It was not meant to be. The Celtics get smashed up in Beantown. Heat culture is real, folks. It's absolutely real. And I got to tip my cap. Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, they continue to prove me wrong and all the doubters wrong. It's unbelievable how a team comprised of that many undrafted players went into this series, the massive, massive underdogs, and did what they just did. Now, Jimmy Butler's probably going to go down as a Hall of Famer, but when you look at his career arc, it's one of the more fascinating ones and ones that I can't really find a comp to. And help me out here at 888-957-9570. I don't think there's any player like a Jimmy Butler that I could remember in basketball. Good morning on Twitch and YouTube. You can hit me up there as well. We are up and streaming, as well as the Odyssey app. Download that bad boy. Favorite 95.7 The Game. What did you all do this weekend? Did you have a nice weekend? What was your biggest storyline of this sports weekend? It's not an MVP Monday. It's what we're used to. We're on a Tuesday. I was trying to think of some wacky name just for a special. No. Just who won the weekend? How about that? It's as simple as that. Who won this past weekend? Could be the Heat. Could be the Giants smashing the Pittsburgh Pirates yesterday in an afternoon game, 14-4. And man, the youth movement, it's getting there for the San Francisco Giants. Casey Schmidt, couple RBIs, couple of hits. Bailey doing his thing. Slater, welcome back. It was a bombs parade. It was nice. It was warm. The wind was blowing in the right directions as the Giants improved to 28. Man, 28-26. Don't look now. Giants are making a run here, folks. And the trade deadline, once it approaches, are they actually going to be buyers? Well, wait and see. It's a long season. It's early still. But I've been very, very impressed with what I've seen from not only the Giants, from Gabe Kapler, Farhan Zaidi, everyone. They deserve credit. They absolutely deserve credit for what they've been able to do this season. because they were getting buried. What's the plan? Why aren't we getting Judge? Why aren't we getting Correa? Well, we're starting to see that plan come to fruition. I saw a little interesting chat on Twitter yesterday, and you can follow me on Twitter at Spadoni_Joe. And there was a little interesting convo I saw with Evan Giddings, fill-in host here and host of the 415ers podcast with him and Mark Randy on the Odyssey app. Download that bad boy for all your 49ers content. But Evan Giddings was talking to our own Joe Shasky, who will join me here at around 5:45 for the crossover, as he does each and every Monday through Friday at 5:45. Joe's fired up over this past weekend. But they're talking about, Evan was saying, can we just give an organization credit when they clearly knew what they were doing when holding these guys back? Because let's face it, Farhan took a lot of heat last year. Where's Patrick Bailey? Where's these Casey Schmitz? Where's all these young guys coming up? Well, they're coming up and they're balling. And then the argument is, well, they shouldn't have been up here sooner. Well, when they come up and they produce at the level that they're producing, a la a Bailey, a la a Schmidt, the organization deserves some credit. They absolutely do. The timing in baseball is a massive, massive thing. When to bring them up, when not to, bring them up too early. And let's be honest, they brought up Bart too early, it looks like. And he looks like he's might be out of the league in a few years. He looks like his spot has been taken. Wally pipped. Night. Patrick Bailey. He's the dude now.
And a base hit to right field. 2 runs are going to score. Bailey kicks it around. Is Palacios. Bailey headed for 3. He made it. Giants lead 2-0.
Dwayne Kuiper on the call for NBC Sports Bay Area. Patrick Bailey, 2 hits, 3 runs. Man, check that. 3 hits, 2 runs, 4 RBI. And this guy's just poised. He was celebrating a birthday. He's 24. And the Giants, listen, there's hope. There's hope for this team in the future in this season. I think that is a huge, huge deal. When coming into the season, that was the word I did not think of. I thought of boring, old, not very fun. They've been the opposite the last couple weeks. And Casey Schmidt and Patrick Bailey are huge parts of it. Here's the skip. Gabe Kapler talking about the team trending in the right direction and this being a total team effort win after the ball game.
I thought it was a really good team effort. I thought up and down the lineup we had guys swinging the bat and driving in runs, getting big hits, and supporting one another. I think we're coming together as a team. I think that started obviously on the road trip, maybe even a little bit before, but and now we're getting contributions from everybody on the team. We're not just waiting for 1 or 2 people to come up with a big hit. We're getting quality starts nearly every time through. We're set up to have Brebbia start the game for us tomorrow. He's done that successfully at times in the past and pretty confident in his ability to go out and do a good job for us tomorrow.
Good morning to everyone on the YouTube chat. Nicole, Brandon, Ashley, Morali. Ashley's still having those Lakers live rent-free in her head. It's all right. We already know that the Los Angeles Lakers had the greatest sweep in the history of the NBA playoffs. We don't need to worry about them anymore.
Oh my God, they swept the Lakers.
They certainly did. But Brian Windhorst.
The Lakers absolutely were terrific in going down in this series. I'm not sure I've seen a more impressive performance in a sweep ever.
There you go, Ashley, 1985 on the YouTube chat. That one was for you. As the Lakers are bounced, we get all that. But other NBA news as the Heat advance to the NBA Finals and will be taking on the Denver Nuggets. Asked earlier, who's that comp for Jimmy Butler? Or is he just one of one? I think he is one of one. And if he completes this entire NBA championship run, it might be the greatest of all time. And you might say, Jimmy Butler? Really? 2011 Dirk on line 1, going through Kobe, KD, LeBron. Ever heard of that one? I have. They were actually one of the better teams in that regular season. Dirk Nowitzki obviously was a future Hall of Famer. Future Hall of Famer Jason Kidd on that staff. This has only been, and I think I'm getting this right. Let me pull it up here and make sure. But this is only one of the few occasions where there's only one All-Star apiece in each starting lineup for both of these teams, the Nuggets and the Heat respectively. Scroll. Yes. The third time ever, the NBA Finals with just one All-Star per team. 1998, you had Michael Jordan and Karl Malone, which that one would stump a lot of people in a guessing game. Earlier that year, it only featured Michael Jordan and Karl Malone. Not all time, but just earlier in that season. 2003, finals between Tim Duncan and Jason Kidd. And then 2023, 20 years later now, Nikola Jokic and Bam Adebayo. And a reminder that Jimmy Butler did not make the All-Star game 3 months ago. So it's been wild. It's been crazy. And this finals, it might not be the sexiest team name matchup. The Heat, I get that. Been one of the better teams, Heat culture. Eric Spoelstra, shout out to him. Pat Riley, hell of a season. They've been one of the better teams in this century. I'll give them that. The Nuggets, historically, they don't know. They've never been here. So I don't know what to expect from this matchup. I expect some tight games, or should I expect a blowout? Because if you told me the Nuggets sweep this Heat team, I can't say I believe you, but I wouldn't be shocked. Because this Heat team has shown us throughout this entire playoff run, entire season, that they can take your best punch and come on back. Hell, they were up 3-0. They could have folded in Game 7 up in Boston. Everyone thought they were going to. But Jimmy Butler, Eric Spoelstra, Bam Adebayo, Strus, Caleb freaking Martin, are you kidding me? 11-16, 4-6 from beyond the arc, 26 points. He was a vote shy of winning that Larry Bird Eastern Conference Finals MVP trophy. Went to Jimmy Butler. But my God, that's Heat culture. When you have guys like Caleb Martin showing up, Gabe Vincent, Strus, Duncan Robinson. When these guys are showing up and buying in, Kyle Lowry, hell, it's a name I don't think I've thrown out a lot during these playoffs, but Kyle Lowry had to get humbled. This was a guy in a starting NBA championship team just a few years back with the Toronto Raptors. Him, Van Vliet, Gasol, Siakam, Kawhi, all those guys. And he had to have been humbled this past season. He was getting memed to death. He was getting roasted. He was not himself. He looked washed. Bought in. 24 minutes off the bench last night. 7 points, 7 boards, 5 assists. Hell of a performance. Led the team in total plus minus at plus 26. That's what Heat culture is all about. Buying in. And I might just be buying into this team winning the finals. I might just be there. Wait a couple days, give my final predictions for Thursday. But this magical run might just continue for the Miami Heat. What say you? 888-957-9570.
Only God knows.
I know, Kyle. One of the all-time drops.
Only God knows.
I know. Only God knows if Pat Riley's going to be clubbing tonight. And by the way, that little story that leaked, what was it, 10 hours before the game started or whatever? Oh, the Miami Heat, they're planning to travel after the game to Denver. Are they sleeping? Are they looking past the Boston? Stop. Please. Every single team does that. It's called planning ahead. It's getting your flights in order. Any professional organization in sports would do the same thing. It's not a story. It's whatever. And you know what? Good on the Heat for leaking it out. They weren't scared. The Miami Heat, more than any other team, you can say what you want about them in the media, anything like that. That's not going to faze them. They're not going to say anything about it. They hear it all. They gather it. But they're not going to throw it back in your face. Michael Malone, on the other hand, head coach of the Denver Nuggets, yeah, he's about that talk. He's about that life. He will let you know when you made a mistake sleeping on the Denver Nuggets and picking the Lakers and all that. He will let you know. And credit to him. There's different styles of coaching. And you know what? Michael Malone, he hasn't been there, so he should act like that. This is a big freaking deal for him. Spoelstra, he's been there. This is his 6th finals appearance. 6. God. He's one of the best coaches of all time. Eric Spoelstra. Just hats off. I cannot have any more words to describe how impressive this Heat comeback. It wasn't really a comeback, but it kind of was. I mean, they were up 3-0, then they were tied. So yes, in a sense, they kind of had to come back. And smashing the Boston Celtics. And by the way, the Boston Celtics, that's one of those losses. And I wouldn't say blow up the entire thing, but there needs to be some hard truths. Shout out Stannis Baratheon. Hard truths cut both ways, Sir Davos. And hard truths need to be had. Jaylen Brown, it's not going to get it done. Jason Tatum, 5 of 13, 14 points. It's not going to get it done. Derek White, 5 of 12, 18. Did his job. He's a role player, basically. Marcus Smart, 4 of 10. Horford, 3 of 8. None of these guys showed up. 84 points in a do-or-die game after being down 3-0. As a fan, you almost wish, I shouldn't say it. No, I'm going to. You would have rather gotten swept, right? Come on. Having to go through the heartbreak of doing that whole comeback only to get blown out at home? That has to stink. That's just such a gut punch. It's like talking to the girl that you knew you had no shot with. You just knew. It's like, you know what? I'm going to go up to the dance. I'm going to ask her, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And you know what she says? She says, just give me a sec. I'll be right back. And yeah. Just give me a sec. It's like, oh man, you know what? I was down 0-3 going into this. You know what? It's 3-3 right now. I got a great shot. Got a great op. It's 50-50. And I just saw her drive away with the jock. That's what happened. The Boston Celtics. Mr. Steal Your Girl, Jimmy Buckets happened. Bam Adebayo. Caleb Martin. Kyle Lowry. That's what happened. And if you're Boston, is moving on from your rookie head coach the move? Is it moving on from Jaylen Brown? Is it moving on from Jason Tatum? What is the next move for Boston? Because they have to change something. And I'm just not sure if there's a player out there or package. Hell, they were talking about the Warriors Summit at Buonvino. Willard Dibbs, Steiny Goo, Bonte Shasky, JD, all the hosts, minus yourself. But they were talking about it all. Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, is that the package? Is that really going to make you that much better? Did you see Jaylen Brown yesterday? Did you see him? And speaking of the Warriors and personnel and team, Bob Myers, president of basketball operations, although for how much longer, he's speaking to the media today at noon. We're going to have all of that right here on 95.7 The Game to discuss pre, post, all that. Major decision potentially coming in this presser. We shall see. Is he going to remain the president of basketball operations for the team? Is he going to step down? 888-957-9570. How big of a deal would it be if he stepped down from his role with this team and took a year off, or hell, went to another team? I think it's more likely he takes a year off than joins another team immediately. This has been a grind. This has been a decade-plus grind for Bob Myers. Lots of championships, lots of heartbreak, lots of drama, especially in this past season. I think it would be a great move for Bob on a personal level to take a year off, reevaluate things, and come back to the drawing board next season. For the Warriors, though, I don't know where they pivot. Is it in-house? Is it Mike Dunleavy Jr., the assistant GM currently? Is it an outside hire? I find it hard to believe within a couple months span of the season starting back up, you just pivot into a whole new direction potentially and a new president of basketball operations. So I would assume it would be Mike Dunleavy Jr. taking that spot over, but listen, that's not a job I envy. That's not a job that is easy. There's a lot of egos involved. What are you going to do? Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole. There's so many different options on the table for whoever takes over this president of basketball operations title. It's so much pressure. So much. The next couple years, maybe. Or maybe you have one more good year and you don't know. This thing is a Stephen Curry tweaked ankle away from going crashing down. That's where we're at. You have to maximize this current championship window. And the problem is, I don't even know if they're in a championship window. You just lost to a Lakers team that just got humbled by a Denver Nuggets team that is young, fresh, exciting, and is not going anywhere. So how far down the ladder are you? And how much can you actually revamp this team moving forward to compete? Those are a lot of questions that the new president of basketball operations, it's a mouthful, is going to have to deal with. GM is just so much easier. But I get it. And, there's all grandiose names and all that sort of stuff. But 888-957-9570, how big of a deal would it be for the Golden State Warriors to move on from Bob Myers? 888-957-9570 is the number. Good morning to all of you on the Comcast Business Text line. Sounded like a robot there. On the 415, let's put the ride on the table. Riley is now the best basketball evaluator in the league. I'd be the 415 on Comcast Business Text line. Let's put the ride on the table. It's brought to you by Atco Pest Control. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that, but I feel like I should in honor of Daryl the Guru Johnson. Finally got that thing sponsored. There we go. There's the rat. I think so. I mean, you just look at his track record. It's been 20 plus years now. Shaq, Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Chris Bosh, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. All these guys. Did I miss anyone? Darrell Wright? But you get what I'm saying. This guy does it. Not only does he get the big whales, the big fish, the LeBrons, the Shaqs, the Boshes, the Jimmy Butlers, he gets the big boys. It's the development that you're seeing from Spoelstra and Riley. That's what's really impressive. The undrafted, whatever. And I saw a lot of people, it was Draymond during these playoffs, like, can we stop mentioning these guys as undrafted players each and every time we talk about the Heat? It's disrespectful. No, it's not. To mention a player as undrafted is not disrespectful. It's actually giving them tremendous credit, showing them that whether you're drafted or not, it doesn't really freaking matter. It's about hooping. We see this all the time in the NFL. Does anyone bat an eye when you see an undrafted rookie make an instant impact each and every season? There's one on a team every single season. There's one undrafted free agent, running back, whatever, that ends up being a stud. It happens every year. But in basketball, we look at it as like, unless you were a lottery pick or a late first or second rounder, you're not going to do anything. No. It's get an opportunity. It's about getting buckets. It's about hooping. At the end of the day, the Miami Heat, up and down the roster, they might not have the sexiest names in comparison to the Boston Celtics. I mean, just look at it. Look at the two starting lineups and just look at the names. Go down the list. Boston, Tatum, Horford, Smart, Derek White, Jaylen Brown. Other than Derek White, those are four pretty damn good starters. Household names. And hell, Derek White had a monster game one in the NBA Finals last year against the Warriors. So even he is a household name somewhat. Juxtapose that with the Miami Heat. Just going on names. Jimmy Butler, okay. Give you that. Bam Adebayo, okay. 2 All-Stars. Although Jimmy wasn't one this year, we already established that. But Caleb Martin? Who? Gabe Vincent? Those are 2 guys with 2 first names. Those aren't real people. Max Strus? Duncan Robinson? That guy from the bubble? Yeah, that guy from the bubble. That guy that got paid, got demoted, got torn down, and got brought back up by this organization. Spoelstra never lost faith in him. And that was easy for Duncan Robinson. If he wanted to just curl up, roll into a ball and be like, man, I got paid. And maybe what everyone's saying on social media is true. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten paid. Maybe this undrafted guy that made his name for himself in the bubble shouldn't have gotten all this money. Maybe they were right. I was struggling. I got benched. And maybe I'm not that guy that we all saw in the bubble. He could have easily done that. Instead, he's been having a tremendous playoffs. And in 20 minutes yesterday, 4 of 6, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, 10 points, an assist, rebound, 2 steals, a block. It's a hell of a performance from Duncan Robinson. And again, credit to Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra. Heat culture is real, folks. And I may have to hire Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra in any other job in my life if I need a culture change. Culture's good here at the game. Matt Nahigian, our Pat Riley's pushing the buttons. We're doing numbers. Hell, we're doing numbers on the pregame show. So you know things are going well. And as you know, the pregame show, we're not the main entree. We're not the main course. We're not the filet mignon. That's not what we do here. We're the appetizer. We're the chips and salsa. And on some days, we're the chips and guac, a little extra. Some days, we're the tapas. We're the mozzarella sticks. All that. Whatever your favorite appetizer is, that's what we are. We may not be Tony Gwynn, if you will, hitting for a high average, Ted Williams. But you know what? We're Joey Gallo. We may have a game here or there, 4 strikeouts. May not be our best. But damn it, if we don't have a show each and every week, that we hit a 500-foot home run. I'm not saying today's that show, but you know what? We have them once a week. 888-957-9570 is the number to get involved. We're going to take a quick break. Come on back. I went to a game yesterday, and a certain team here in the Bay Area won. That hasn't won in a long, long time. And damn it, it made me happy. I'm going to discuss it on the other side right here on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
I'd love to be able to give somebody who has epilepsy the same kind of information that you can get from a weather forecasting app.
Dr. Vikram Rao, director of the Epilepsy Center at UCSF Health and a pioneer in the field of seizure forecasting.
People will benefit from knowing how likely seizures are to occur, say the next day, because you can do something different. In my view, optimal care for people with epilepsy is about more than stopping seizures.
The A's for the first time since May 16th. Oakland wins it 7-2.
Vince Cotroneo on the call. And there we go. You don't get that anywhere else on 95.7 The Game. That kind of dedication to Twitch and YouTube. Instead of book it to the back studio. Maybe I should have won the MVP of the sports weekend, but it's not an MVP Monday. It's not about me. It's about all of you at 888-957-9570. And damn it, going to that game yesterday at the Coliseum, it would really suck if the A's left. It just would. Young Benjamin, he doesn't care about the stadium, what it looks like, if it's a dump, if it's falling apart. He doesn't care about any of that. You know what he cared about when he walked in there? It wasn't the team store. It wasn't mom wanting to buy all the little stuff, all this sort of stuff. By the way, shouldn't that stuff be half off if they're leaving? Anyways. But it's not about that. For Benny, the whole time, it's like, Mom, I just want to go see the players. I just want to go see the field. That's all he cares about. And it would really suck if for the next, not the next 10, 15 years, his whole life, I want to be able to take my kid to a game right down the street. It's not right down the street, but 10-minute drive. And to have that get taken away from me, those memories, they'll never be able to take away the ones we had yesterday. But it would really be a shame if the A's ended up moving. Now they're doing all that legislature and introducing bills in Nevada. We'll see what happens there. But for just one day and for yesterday, it was pretty freaking cool to go to a game, see my team win, enjoy it with my family, and be able to share that moment with my little guy. And girl. She's 6 months. She was screaming. She was yelling. She passed out halfway through. By the way, pitch clock. Oh my God. It's the greatest invention ever, especially for parents. You kidding me? In and out 2.5 hours and a win? And it was 7:30 when I got home? Come on. Can't beat that. That's the best. More 5 o'clock start times. They're not going to do that. But man, that would be sweet. 888-957-9570. Any of you guys go to the A's or Giants games this weekend, let me know as the A's win, snap 11-game losing streak, and the San Francisco Giants pummel the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's 3 P's in a row there for you. Casey Schmidt, Patrick Bailey. Oh, hello, Austin Slater.
Slater drives one. Center field. Zawinski back. Out of here. Welcome back, Austin Slater.
Austin Slater doesn't look like a very large man, but he hits some bombs every single time I see him at the plate. He's been gone for a while, but I swear, every time I'm watching a Giants game and he's pinch hitting or something, I was like, is he going to hit a bomb to center it? Sure enough, ball was flying yesterday. It was flying off this guy's bat, too.
Base hit, left field. Coming around and scoring is Haniger. And Casey Schmidt with his third hit. And he's got a couple of RBIs.
Casey Schmidt, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 RBIs. Patrick Bailey, 3 hits, 2 runs, 4 RBIs. And Slater again, 3 hits, 4 RBIs. This is the recipe. This is the recipe for the Giants. The youth movement. It's real. Hop aboard. Farhan Zaidi, tip of the cap. So far, it's working this season. Now, it's a long year. We'll wait and see what happens. The team that you're facing right now, the Pittsburgh Pirates, hell, they were, 10 or 12 games over 500 just a couple weeks ago? Life comes at you fast in Major League Baseball. But at least with the Pirates, you can see their vision too. Very similar arcs, you would hope, for the Giants if you look at a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates not going to be a playoff team this year, but you can see what they're building from afar. They got some veteran pieces mixed with some young guys. Rich Hill, my God, he's the most veteran of veteran pieces. Guy's like 50 years old. A's legend, by the way. But you see what they're doing. Key Brian Hayes. I know O'Neal Cruz being out kind of stinks. They re-signed Brian Reynolds to that big deal. You can see what they are building. They bring in another vet. McCutchen, he's back. He's looking like an MVP again. Pretty crazy. Another Giants legend, Andrew McCutchen. But you can see how these two teams can mirror each other. and maybe, just maybe, be contenders for years to come. More faith in the Giants and the Pirates than that, just going off history. But you never know. It's fun looking at these two kind of blue blood organizations, though. History matchup, like historical matchups when it comes to baseball. Giants Pirates kind of just feels right. The Barry Bonds connection, the unis. Shasky, who's going to join me here in about 6 or 7 minutes for the crossover, was talking about just, man, the jerseys, the masks. The Pirates just look cool. And when they're going up against a team like the Giants, whose colors pop as well, it's just aesthetically pleasing. I was watching, again, I was at the A's game yesterday. A's versus Braves. Like, these are just cool. And then it's NL, AL. I get that. It's not a traditional matchup, but within the next 20, 30 years, who cares about traditional matchups? Because interleague is basically just going to be a thing of the past. You're just going to think about it like interconference, but no one says that in NBA. No one says interleague and AFC or interconference, AFC, NFC, and football. No one says that. It's just going to be the norm. So just looking at cool jersey matchups, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a nerd for that stuff, but it is what it is. 888-957-9570 is the number. Continue to take your calls and texts as it pertains to the San Francisco Giants. Did you go to the game this weekend? A's fans, hey, pregame show, I'll talk A's. I don't mind. They could have their foot out the door. You know what? I'll still be talking about them. And by the way, the morning roast actually will be too, because Casey Pratt, who's been all over the A's coverage, their potential move to Las Vegas, all that, Howard Terminal, all that sort of stuff. He's part of ABC 7 News. He's going to be joining Shasky and Bonte. I believe 9:20 is going to be joining them. So tuned into that. If you are an A's fan, Bonte and Shasky are going to ask some great questions to the great Casey Pratt, who's been all over this coverage. We're going to take a quick break. Come on back. Joe Shasky's going to join me. I want to pick his brain about the Giants' big win, about the Heat almost collapsing a 3-0 series lead, only to smash the Boston Celtics. Ask him about that, and about his Memorial Day weekend overall. How was yours? 888-957-9570. This is the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. The crossover next, right here on 95.7 The Game.
Ever since we got Xfinity Mobile, the whole family now has the fastest mobile service. My little brother has no idea how lucky he is. Back in my day, we didn't have it nearly as good.
Oh yeah? Back in my day, you couldn't even stream outside the house. I don't like to think about it.
Please, back in my day, we had phones with cords, and they were mounted to a wall.
Forget phones. Back in my day, we wrote letters. Remember, Herman?
Oh, I remember.
Vintage texting. Cool.
Ooh, a little Tekanina on a Tuesday here in the Bay. Hope you all had a lovely Memorial Day weekend. It's a pregame show. Joe Spadoni. Joe Shasky will join me here in a few minutes for the crossover as he does each and every Monday through Friday. Joe Shasky, the morning roast. Him and Bonte fired up. They got quite the guest list, by the way, as I vamp and pull it up on my phone. You guys can see me there if you're streaming on Twitch and YouTube. Good morning to all of you, as well as the Odyssey app. Be sure to download that bad boy. Favorite 95.7 The Game. As I scroll through the chat. Dun, 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 dun. A lot of Nevada legislature. I know Casey Pratt of ABC7 is joining the boys at 7 o'clock. We are going to have the Bob Myers presser at noon today, so there's that. Casey Pratt is all I see. I'll ask Joe Shasky here in a few moments who else he has on his guest list. 888-957-9570. That's my guest list. Is you, the listeners. If you would like to join me, join Joe, give us a call, give us a text, 888-957-9570. Who won the sports weekend for you? Was it the Giants? Was it Casey Schmidt? Was it the Vegas Knights? They're taking on the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals, which start, I believe, Saturday, so they have quite a stretch there, too. Man, Florida was out for a long time. They were off just like the Nuggets were off for quite some time. That's going to be interesting, too, as the Heat defeat the Celtics 103-84 in Game 7 up in Boston to advance to their NBA Finals. The rest first rust, the old little adage there. How much of an advantage is it for Denver having all that time off? Obviously, playing at home, altitude, they have that home court advantage built in already. Taking on a team like Miami, long, grueling series, South Beach, the flight, all that. Heat culture, it's tough. Is it altitude tough? Is it wear and tear tough when you're going up against a young, exciting, deep Denver Nuggets team? Is it going to take its toll game one? Or is game one the moment to strike? Are the Nuggets going to look like the team that's out of sort? The team that's been off for a while. The team that doesn't have the hunger that they did in those series against the Suns, against the T-Wolves, against the Lakers. Are they going to look like that team? It's going to be very interesting to see the tone set on game one on Thursday for the NBA Finals. Cannot wait. 888-957-9570. Your key matchup in that one. We'll be discussing that all week. We'll be discussing Giants. We'll be discussing Bob Myers. Is he still going to be the president of basketball operations this time tomorrow for the Golden State Warriors? Has a presser today. Again, at 12 noon, we'll have all that pre-post coverage. Hell, we may even carry it live. Not going to promise anything. Wasn't told. But we may carry that live. And it's going to be interesting. Is Bob Myers going to stick around and be with the Warriors? Is he going to see this thing through? Or is he going to take a year off? Either way, he's earned it. I don't think anyone's going to be mad at Bob for stepping down. It's been a long, tumultuous 10 years. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of in-betweens, a lot of drama. Hell, he's been through the Kevin Durant, Draymond thing. He's been through the Draymond, Jordan Poole. He's been through injuries with Clay. He's been through everything. A lot of tears shed, happy and sad for Bob Myers with this organization. And I think overall, the fan base would be pretty forgiving and accepting if Bob chose to step away. As Joe Shasky joins me here for the morning roast of the morning roast, joining me for the crossover, that is. And Joe, first and foremost, how was your weekend, buddy? Did you have a nice week? You said this weekend was supposed to be a mental rewind for you. 3 days off, we need it. Hell, you were caping for a fourth day for us on Friday. Appreciate you. Didn't work. But how was your weekend, man?
When I become mayor of San Francisco or president of the United States, which will never happen, but when it happens,
I don't know.
I'm petitioning every 90 days. We need a state or federal holiday on a Monday.
Okay.
How much more refreshes everybody with just one short week sprinkled in with all these regular weeks? Like the European model of 6 straight weeks of vacation or staggered or whatever. Maybe that's a little aggressive. Can we get four days a year baked in every 90 days to 120 days, whatever it is, however the math works itself out, where we get those automatic Mondays off on top of your normal, holidays and stuff. Because like President's Day, nobody observes that anymore. It feels like Columbus Day used to be something that we observed. It feels like we pick and choose.
We still do those, but they're just under different names. So I think Columbus Day has been shifted here in California, at least some other states, Indigenous Peoples Day. So we still get that off.
Yeah, but it's not a federal holiday, and a lot of employers don't give you that.
That's true. But if you work for the state, you do. Here in radio,
get where I'm going.
Here in radio, though, we rarely. I mean, it was shocking we got that day off.
Come on, man.
I mean, that's just it is what it is. Like Cesar Chavez Day for the state, I used to get that off. I used to get back in high school because we were Irish Brotherhood founded Catholic school. We used to get St. Patty's Day off every Wednesday.
Really?
Wednesday of
Sounds
whatever.
like the priests were enjoying themselves.
It was great. Corned beef and cabbage. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I like that.
Speaking of this past weekend,
I've got so many thoughts,
dude. There's Heat Celtics. There's Giants smash the Pirates. The freaking A's beat the Braves. I don't think anyone saw that coming, snapping his 11-game losing streak. Bob Myers might be done. He has a presser at 12. Where do you want to start, Joe?
Well, okay, because I think we're going to talk some baseball at some point today. But to me, there's two big takeaways. There's the Boston Celtics game last night against the Miami Heat, and let's take either side of it. I'm going to make some comparisons today to where the Boston Celtics find themselves. I feel like they're at a crossroads. For individual players, that unit of team.
It's the word of the month, by the way, crossroads.
It really is. But like they've got a lot of OKC vibes where you're seeing a team and they get there. You look up and you're like, wow, how have they not pulled one out? And then you watch them play. It feels very your turn, my turn. Right? Now, I know there's some big differences, right? Obviously, there's been some coaching tweaks. Danny Ainge has left the building in terms of, him not being the guy at the helm.
Brad Stevens now.
Of the Boston Celtics. Exactly. Yeah. They had 3 stars and traded one away in OKC. But I think the framework reminds me very similar of each other in that we've gotten close. We went to a finals. We felt like this was one finals trip. Hey, we'll be back. We're going to do it again. I'm not sure I would run back Tatum and Brown.
I mean, what choice do they have? What's the alternative?
No, they're
if they
two
don't...
great players.
Yes.
I just don't know. I don't know if that works for them there. And it sounds like maybe it's the roster. It's not just them. Maybe I'm putting too much on it. But like Russ and Durant were awesome together. Everyone agreed. But at the same time, it's like, man, you can't win the big one.
Well, when push came to shove in those, what happened? You wanted KD with the ball in his hands, but who had the ball in his hands? It was Russell Westbrook, and that always ended up going. It was live by the Russ, die by the Russ, and we saw that. We saw it with the Clippers this year. He's still doing it. But to your point, Jason Tatum in a must-win Game 7 after being down 0-3 just to get to that point, and you're at home, 5 of 13, 14 points. Jaylen Brown, 8 of 23,
this is a guy,
1 of 9 from beyond the arc.
Jason Tatum, a guy who averaged 30, almost 9, and 5.
14 points. And like this was
think about the year he had.
They played like a team that thought, you know what? All the hard stuff is over. We're just going to win this one. Well, it's a cakewalk. And I think everyone else did too. Hell, I did. I thought the Heat were going to roll over, but shame on me. I keep sleeping on the Heat culture, Shasky. This stuff it's Teflon. It's unbreakable.
58 points from undrafted players was the average for the series.
You kidding me?
Per game.
It's unbelievable.
Caleb Martin has been a revelation. It's funny. I found a text thread of me and young Nash, who's a big NBA head.
Oh, I love Nash.
And it's from November, and he sent it back to me, and it was me going, I don't understand why they love Caleb Martin so much, and I was clearly wrong. This is back in November, and so he's been outstanding. Yeah. I mean, look. Then there's the other side of the coin. There's the Pat Riley thing. Are we watching the greatest modern executive ever?
Man.
So let me read something. I just want to read something for you because I looked it up. Okay. Now, he's been with that team since 95, 96. Okay. And he's had final say ever since. Like this, I think is poignant, if you will. On 2008, Riley announced he would step down as head coach. This is after winning the championship. He basically said he was going to fire himself, and he named Eric Spoelstra, the assistant, who was his assistant at the time, the head coach. Now, they've had a general manager the entire time, Randy Puford and Andy Ellisberg, since 2013. But Riley's had final say in basketball matters since his arrival in Miami. He's had final say. And you just look at what they've done. I think most normal thinking people were like, oh, LeBron's gone? Oh, Dwayne Wade's got chronic knee injuries? Oh, Bosch is never going to play basketball again? You're done.
Yeah, I did.
Then you look up and you're like, oh, Riley at the helm, whether head coach or GM or, final say guy at the top of the chart, has been to 7 finals.
It's unbelievable.
In a makeshift of ways. He had Shaq and Wade, excuse me. He had LeBron and Wade. I mean, and then once they leave, I'll be real. I raised my hand. I did not think that they would be to multiple finals with this roster.
It's unbelievable. And you just think about some of the best organizations in sports we think about, right? Even like the St. Louis Cardinals, they have some down years, right?
Of course.
Think of the Boston Red Sox in the past 20 years. They've had some down years. The San Francisco Giants, like all the best organizations in individual sports. Hell, you go to NFL, it's what? The standard is Brady and Belichick. But that was so unique. That was one of the greatest tandems of all time. Brady was there the entire time. That's like if Dwayne Wade was there this time. That's not what this is. This is different iterations in different decades and being able to get it done with the Shaq and Dwayne, with the Dwayne Wade and LeBron, with the Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. That's pretty damn impressive. It's one of the most impressive feats. Like, I go back to what is like during your time, like Joe Gibbs with the Washington then Redskins.
That's a good call.
Like, what was
3 different quarterbacks.
Doug Williams, Rippon, and Joe Theismann, right? Like that. Like, that's unheard of. Like, imagine that in today's league. Imagine like
the only guy close is Andy Reid. The way he's done it with so many different.
And I was going to go Shanahan, maybe.
Shanahan's
but like he still hasn't won one. Like that's why it's so damn impressive. And looking at like what he's able to do with the quarterback in my life, that's going to be a fascinating offseason. Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, I still don't know what the hell's going on there. So you just look at what Pat Riley has done in that Heat culture. And I read an interesting article. Their affiliate is based out in South Dakota, the Sioux Falls, the Strike Force. And they put these guys, a Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Strus, all these dudes, they put them up there. Polar opposite of Miami, fun, partying, harsh, brutal conditions up north. And you know what? If you can get through there, that sort of adversity, come back to Miami and be a winning player, that shows a lot about who you are. So that Heat culture, to your point, Shasky, it's not just in the pros. It's in their G League affiliate as well, which is really, really massive. And I look at what they do down at the Santa Cruz Warriors, similarly with a guy like Moses Moody.
Well, and let's
sorry, long-winded there, but how to get to that?
I think you're spot on. Let's take it a step further, though. Spoelstra, the coach, is clearly in sync with whoever's putting together the roster because come playoff time, he's playing Caleb Martin. Come playoff time, he's starting Gabe Vincent over Lowry. You know what I mean? Like they have the guts. They have the guts to stick with their guns, and I think it takes a lot of you know what's.
Yeah, and well, juxtapose that with Steve Kerr. Not really. He got tight with some of his guys. Some would say Jonathan Kuminga not giving him some run. Moses Moody, too little, too late, some might say. So that's Joe Shasky. They're going to have more on this. Him and Bonta Hill next on the Morning Roast. Again, Casey Pratt, ABC 7, if you want to talk some A's, what's going on there, the legislation, all that. Giants, Casey Schmidt, Patrick Bailey, the youth movement, man. He's wearing his Giants hat. I would assume Bonta would be wearing some Giants stuff. He's been rocking his Giants gear a little bit late. And Bob Myers presser, 12 o'clock today. We'll have all that coverage right here on 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. I'm proud to let you know